Welcome in everyone to Betting Weekly Live. It is Thursday, the 6th of November. You're with Steve Wiss and James Eastham, and we've got a Europa League and Europa Conference League betting bonanza coming your way. James, how's it going? Bonfire night last night. Was there many fireworks in your area? Or
yeah, there were fireworks in my area. Although there's fireworks when it's not bonfire night, Steve. I don't know what that's all about. But yeah, plenty. And we're hoping for some today, aren't we, in the football? We've got loads of games, as we always do on this night. 36 matches. We're up to match day 4 in the Europa League and match day 3 in the Conference League. So, as always, we're not going to be able to cover every fixture, but we have got a lot that are covered. Do let us know in the chat what you think, not only of our tips and our advice, but do let us know any views you've got or opinions or information on any of the other games as well. This is one of the great things about the Thursday show, isn't it, Steve? There's some really knowledgeable people in the chat who often inform us and the other viewers about some of the games which are taking place.
Absolutely. There's so many games going on, and there's people out there who have some expert angles with team news, with the vibe, the atmosphere, everything that's going on. So put your best bets in chat today. Thanks so much for your support this week, everyone who's been in on the live shows or watching on demand. Andrew Madu, I want to give him a shout out again because he's been in very early with his bets. He's got several ones there, some interesting ones at big prices as well. Celje minus 1 goal at plus 350 is an interesting one there. But just looking through all the comments, and really appreciate you all coming in. We've got so much to talk about. We've got we're not going to go through every game, but we do actually have graphics for all the games today. Let's start with the Europa League early fixtures. Let's not mess around. We're into game week number 4 now. This is the table so far. You got to get in the top 24, otherwise you are eliminated. We've got 8 match days for the Europa League, of course. 4 teams looking for their first point, and we've got 3 teams with 100% record so far. So that is the state of play. And these are the early kickoffs, 12:45 p.m. Eastern time kickoffs. Loads of bets, of matches there. We do have quite a lot of bets as well. We might as well start right at the top of the card there. Nice against Freiburg. French team against German opponents, and it's a proper pick 'em with the books. So I want to get your thoughts on this game, James. Nice, for me, there's a kind of a rule at the minute. I'm not going to bet on Nice in Europa League myself. I'm not saying I'm going to go against them either, but how do you see this one going?
Yeah, difficult team to read, Nice, at the moment. Their results have improved over the last month in League One, but their performance is not necessarily as much as you might think if you just looked at their results. So still some doubts about how good the team is. They've got a couple of players out tonight for this game. Jonathan Klaus, the right wing back, isn't involved. Terem Moffi, the centre forward, has been out for some time now and will be missing. One thing I do think you can say about Nice tonight, though, Steve, is that they will be taking this game very seriously and they will be absolutely gunning for the win. And the reason for that is they are one of the team with no points on the board, which is hugely embarrassing. And even more so because they were terrible in Europe last year. We know Nice were really, really poor. I think they finished 35th out of 36 in the group stage last year. And they set out this season determined to do better in Europe. And so far, it is not working. So there's a lot of pressure on Nice here because 0 points on the board after 3 match days. Yes, there's a long way to go in some senses, but they can't afford to not win here. You know, even if they drew tonight, to have only 1 point from 4 match days isn't good enough. So I do have a lean on the game. The lean is over 2.5 goals, which is available at minus 120. And a lot of that is down to the way I think that Nice will approach this match, which is they will go all out to win it. They will be absolutely determined to get players forward when they attack. That's the way the manager, Franck S, likes his teams to play anyway. We've seen that from them at home quite a few times this season. So I think they're going to go for it. And defensively, they have not been amazing this season. I've got to say they have conceded some pretty cheap goals. So I think they're going to set the tone for how the game goes. I think it will be fairly open because of what Nice have to do tonight, which is get the win. I saw come up on the screen there. I missed the name of both teams to score. Yes, really like that play on this game as well. Byron, there we go. A little bit short for me, but obviously if you're doing it in a parlay, you'll get more money. I think both teams to score yes is something like minus 167. That's why as a single, I went with over 2.5 goals instead at minus 120. But the general thrust of those two selections is the same. I think we're going to see an open match here because, you know, Nice are one of the few teams really on match day 4 who are already feeling the pressure. There's teams in other games who've got 4 points or 6 points or 7 points on the board already. They can kind of afford to approach tonight differently. Nice can't. They've got to go for it. So it's just a lean from me. It's not a full pick, but I think overs would be the way to play the goals markets.
Yeah, Nice are one of the teams on 0 points. It's starting to get to a stage where it's sort of now or never to get them back in the race for the qualification. I can tell you that Freiburg have been most backed here, 59% of the money on Freiburg. And in the over-under market, 80% of that money is on the over. And that is your lean. Byron's bet there. Both teams score, yes, but under 3.5 goals effectively. Either team to win 2-1 or the 1-1 draw.
Yeah.
So interesting bet, that one for Byron, actually. Let's go on to some of the fixtures on the cards. We'll talk about Forest in a minute, but I want to get into Malmo against Panathinaikos because once again, this will come as no surprise to regular watchers of this channel. I'm going to be opposing Malmo. I'm going to be opposing them on the draw no bet line at minus 122. They nearly got a result in the last home game against Dinamo Zagreb. It ended a draw, and I lost half my stake on the quarter ball handicap. This time, I'm getting full draw security. For me, Malmo are just a clear fade. They're in an absolute mess. They've had a terrible season. There is, I think, as low as 7th domestically now, and there's going to be some big changes at the club over the winter. From what I've heard, they're going to have new positions in staff above the manager. They're going to appoint a brand new head coach, of course. And they will be the favourites to win the Swedish Allsvenskan next season, but they're just not in a good place now. They'll want the season to end. They've got an away match at Nottingham Forest in the next few weeks, and they can't even sell, I think, half of their ticket allocation, which is highly unusual because that's the sort of fixture that these sort of fans enjoy going to. That is the state of affairs for Malmo. So for me, they have to be opposed. I've seen quite a few people suggesting over 2.5 goals. In that game, and Dante came up with a player prop for it as well. Karol Swiderski goal or assist at plus money in this game. It's like over 2.5 goals was fancied as well by quite a few. And just looking now at some other comments. Byron, do we think Panathinaikos get 2 goals? Yeah, I do think they can. Yeah, absolutely. I think they can. But Effie, in terms of the new head coach, from what I've heard, they're going to try and get the Gais manager, who's doing really well there. They're actually Gais have qualified for Europe third place team in Allsvenskan this season. Henrik Rydstrom, of course, was the former manager, but they've got a lot of decisions to make. They're going to they want to sign 6 or 7 new players. They want to gut the squad. They're not in a good place right now for me, Malmo. So I'm very happy to oppose them in that one. The money for that game, by the way, 73% of the money on Panathinaikos, 98% of the money on the over for that game as well. There's quite a lot of tasty early Europa games. Sturm, Graz, Nottingham Forest. Now we've got to discuss this one because Nottingham Forest are minus 200 favourites here, James, and they are the subject of your newsletter pick of the week. But in terms of this match in isolation. We've got the Austrian team here against Sean Dyche's Forest. Tell us, you're quite strong on this game, aren't you, with the visitors? Yeah,
I am. I think Forest should get the win here. The price has shortened a great deal on Forest as we've gone through the week. We're on Thursday now. Beginning of the week, I tipped up Forest minus 0.75 Asian handicap in our newsletter, which was available at the time at minus 115. Forest minus 0.75 Asian handicap is now minus 157. So they've been really strongly backed. But I think it makes sense. I think they've got good momentum under new manager Sean Dyche. I think we've seen that. They've played pretty well since he came in and they've got results. Obviously, they won at home to Porto in the last European game. So good momentum, and I think this is a very winnable game for a side who've got, that momentum about them. I think they're going to be very positive. One of the factors I think to take into account with Forest and why I think they will maintain this momentum is they've got a pretty big squad of players, really. I mean, if you put aside the numbers, in certain positions, they're very deep in terms of quality. And I think that means that all these games at the moment under the new manager are a real opportunity for players to show what they can do. I just feel that will give them the edge in games like this to push on a little bit, to take it seriously over the 90 minutes. Not that they wouldn't take it seriously, but you might get fresh energy from players who come on if you're already a goal or 2 goals up because they want to show the new manager what they can do. So I like Forest at the moment. I like how they've gone about things since he came in. And, Arno Kalimwendo is a player I really like. He's one of the players I'm talking about, really. He may be involved tonight, we think, possibly from the start. Really good attacker who's done very well in the French league over a number of seasons and hasn't really had a look in at Forest since his summer move from Rennes in League One, which was a big money move, over £20 million. Players like that have got the chance in these type of games to show what they can do. So I think even if they do rotate and Sean Dyche maybe gives 1 or 2 players who haven't had a great deal of match time under him so far the chance to show what they can do, I think they should get the job done and win it. So, like I say, the price has moved a lot on Forest. My tip at the beginning of the week was minus 0.75 on the Asian handicap at minus 115. I would stick with that. I would take the minus 157 on them anyway. With a minus 0.75 goal start, obviously you make some profit as long as they win on the night. But it's going to be part of our daily double, isn't it? So Forest on the money line, which, as you say, Steve, is now minus 200, minus 205, something like that. Again, might be too short for people as a single, but part of our daily double, I think they're worth looking at. So I'm expecting good things from Forest tonight, whoever starts, and I'm expecting them to get the win.
Yeah, Forest money line will be the first part of the daily double. Yesterday's daily double lost, unfortunately. It shouldn't have lost. It was we should have got the pushback on the Marseille Tino bet, but the shocking refereeing decision at the death there cost Nigel a half winner on the daily double. Stephen Hall says Sean Dyche looks like the sort who holidays in Blackpool and has never had a passport. He was actually seen last summer partying in Ibiza, one of the most famous clubs there. I'm not even joking, by the way, Stephen. So, he's a man of surprises, Sean Dyche, maybe off the field. But on the field, you know what you're getting with him, don't you? You know exactly what you're getting with Sean. I know you're a big fan of him, James, because of his predictability. And also, he's not just going to sack a game off early in his reign, is he? I mean, I think they're a big price, actually, the weekend to beat Leeds. They're plus 116 with Bet Rivers to beat Leeds. And I will be betting on them, even though it will go against one of my rules, James. I don't like betting on teams
Thursday night.
who play away from home on Thursday night. But it's Sturm Graz, isn't it? I mean, it's Sturm Graz and not.
Yeah. And what you say about Sean Dyche there, Steve's absolutely right. I'm not surprised he's had an immediate impact because he's that sort of manager. I think he comes in, whether it works over the long term, medium term, long term is another question. But I thought they do better under him. I thought he'd be the right sort of manager psychologically to lift the players. Very positive in his approach in terms of telling the players what he thinks they can achieve. And I think we're seeing that. How well they'll do in the Premier League this season is another matter. But this sort of game in Europe, I think they're going to really enjoy under Sean Dyche because it is very winnable.
Peter Chalkins has an interesting ladder bet today, and I'm glad that you cashed on Osterman last night. We really talked him up big, and he delivered. He is going to be going on the shots for Tommy Horvat, Sturm Graz. He averages 4 shots per game and had 8 against Rangers with 4 on target. I can't say I'm familiar with this player, actually.
No.
At all. Neither. So good luck with that one, Peter. That could be a really good angle. Dave's right. Dave Clark here. Forest should be strong enough even with rotations. That is the sheer strength of the Premier League teams. 79% of the money's on Forest, 91% of the tickets. And overs have been backed here as well. 88% of the money on the overs once again. Forest, I'll tell you the second part of the daily double soon. But going back to the card here, for me, another a team worth backing here is FC Midtjylland to beat Celtic. And there's a few reasons for this. I'm not sure Scottish football is in any great shakes anyway. But they've just come into this match on the back of a grueling game at the weekend against Rangers went all the way to extra time, didn't it? And I think domestically they've got a job on their hands, actually, Celtic, this season to win this title off. We got Hearts top of the table there. And Celtic might have to be focusing more on the weekend. But also Midtjylland are in fantastic form. These guys are absolutely flying. I can't really pick a hole in their form. They're unbeaten. I think they've only lost one match all season, but they've won something ridiculous like 10 of their last 12 games. They're absolutely flying, and I think you can back in the air. -106 with Bet Rivers. This looks a really good bet to me. Away from home in Denmark, I don't think Celtic will deliver. It's not been a bad tactic recently to oppose both the old firm teams in Europe on handicap, certainly. And this is another one where I would be happy to oppose the Scots. James, you got any quick thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I had a long look at Midtjylland. They've actually got a bit shorter since, I think, 2 days ago when I was looking at this game. They were just plus money at the time, plus 105. They're now minus 106. So not a huge move. And you're right, Steve. If you look at the form figures, it's Midtjylland all the way. The only thing I would say, it's going to be interesting. We've talked about the teams with no points like Nice. It'd be really interesting for me to see how the teams with maximum points approach tonight, because there's a couple of those playing, aren't there? Lyon, Midtjylland, I think Braga have got 9 points as well. Will they ease off in any way, shape or form because they've got that points cushion? I personally don't think they will. I think actually the top teams in this competition are more likely to think, let's get our qualification wrapped up sooner rather than later, right? And they've got so much confidence because of the points they've got on the board. If anything, it might be an advantage to them, but it's something I'll be keeping an eye on because, if you are on 9 points after 3 match days in this competition, you probably feel you've got maybe half a foot already in the knockout phase. So let's wait and see. But generally speaking, the form points very much towards the home side there.
Yeah, I do like that bet. And there's just one more match on the early card that I want to actually pick your brains about, James. And it is in the Red Star game, Crvena Zvezda against Lille. Lille are the favourites here, plus 130. It was funny, the last show we talked about there hadn't been that 3-0 comeback from a team to win 4-3. I thought it was going to happen, actually. I really did. For Lille to potentially come back, and it was a crazy game. I've got a little lean here for goals, James, over 2.75 goals. I'm not sure what you think about this, but Lille matches can they can go a bit crazy.
Yeah, they can.
What do you reckon to that?
Yeah, very possibly. And I think the back four, not a problem. I think that would be overstating it for Lille, but it's been unsettled through injuries and rotation. Alexandro is really their best centre-back. He's missed most of the season through injury, the Brazil international. He's still out tonight, so they're still below strength. There's talk that Thomas Meunier, the first-choice right-back, will rotate to the bench, and Thiago Santos, who's just back after almost a year out through injury, will come in, very much more an attacking rather than defensive right-back. So, yeah, I can see them conceding tonight, and I can also see them going for the win because we've seen them play really well and score lots of goals away from home this year. I mean, I always go back to the 7-1 win they had at Lorient early on in the season, but it's just the way they play. And I think against, an inferior side, which I think is a fair thing to say about the team they're facing tonight, Lille will expect to have a lot of possession. When they have possession, they only do one thing with it. They go forwards. They go forwards very quickly. They've got good depth in attack, so I think they can bring people off the bench there if they need them, if they rotate from kickoff. I think an open game, and I don't have a lean or a pick on it. I'm sort of leaving Lille alone at the moment in Europe after that last game, which was crazy, but it was crazy with goals, wasn't it? So they're not a team that will go away from home in a match like this against a lower ranking side and just play for a draw. They'll do the opposite. They'll look and see if they can dominate and win big if they can.
Yeah, I like the goals in this game. Red Star are not actually in particularly great shape themselves. They're actually second in the Serbian league right now, which is not a place they're familiar with. And I could see them having to go for it. Someone said there, Rory Talam said they're going to have to go for it.
Yeah.
FGA Football said he's worried about a betting against Celtic with a new manager factor. I mean, that is the same with both old firm teams right now.
Yeah.
There is that factor. I mean, there's a reason they changed the manager, though, is what I would say there. Stephen Lynn said he's fading Rangers today. We'll talk about them a bit later. On the Europa League early slate there, I know a few people in comments were mentioning Porto as a potential bet. I didn't really look into that match too heavily, From what I've heard, Porto are kind of focusing on their own domestic league a bit, but they do have some decent strength in depth. We've got early Conference League games as well, and this is the state of play in the Conference League. Just 2 matches so far. This is only a 6 match days, of course, for the Conference League. Again, you got to get in the top 24, and there's still several teams looking for their first point. And there's 6 teams on maximum points so far. So let's have a look at the early slate for the Conference League. The first place I'm going to start is Celje against Legia Warsaw there. Someone actually put up Celje, didn't they, on the handicap -1. I think it was Andrew at the top of the show. I'm going goals here, as is usually quite profitable with Celje games against Legia Warsaw. Over 2.5 goals at -137. That will do me. Legia Warsaw have just recently changed their manager, so we might get a reaction from them as well. But based on Celje's record in the Conference League, then goals is usually the way to go. Just wanted to touch on AEK Larnaca against Aberdeen as well. And this was a lean for me on Larnaca, on the Larnaca handicap -1 at -106, just simply because Aberdeen have struggled in Europe quite mightily. Got well beaten, didn't they, in Athens? And I just think the Cypriot teams are really on the rise, you know. Look at Paphos last night, and I've seen AEK Larnaca play this season quite a few times. And I just feel like it's a sort of game where I don't see Aberdeen getting anything. James, anti a minute.
Well, you've mentioned they're not doing well, and it's the opposite, isn't it, for Larnaca? They're sitting right up there with 6 points from 2 games, and they've not even conceded. So, you know, people might look at the price and think -175 is too short, but I would disagree. I think it makes a lot of sense, really. So it's important to try to take into account who teams have played against. I've sort of left the Conference League largely alone this week for that reason. I think when I look through the games that everybody's played, there's so much variety in terms of who they've beaten, both the teams at the top and then the teams at the bottom, conversely, who they've lost to. It's almost like a 5,000 meter race, and they've not really started to speed up around the laps at the moment. It's difficult to know who's really shown what they can do so far, and maybe what they've faced has been as big a factor in them not picking up points as their own form. So it is quite tricky, but I would agree with you on Larnaca there. I think one game that was up on the screen there that's really interesting, I didn't have a play on it, is Mainz versus Fiorentina. Should be a good game. This is 2 of the teams who are obviously from the leagues which are in the stronger leagues in this competition. Fiorentina have made a very good start. They've got 2 wins from 2. They've scored 5. They've yet to concede. So on that basis, you look at the plus 235 and you might think, you know what, that's quite a big price on a team who've taken to this competition again, having done so well in it in the past. But we both know that they've not been great in Serie A, have they? They've struggled to pick up points and win matches. So I think it'll be an interesting watch. And Fiorentina, for me, are worth watching there, because with their maximum points, you might think they've been playing well, but this will be a real tough test for them. So we should get more insight into just how strong this Fiorentina team is tonight.
Yeah, it was announced yesterday that they have reached a full agreement with Paolo Vanoli, the former Torino manager, who has now taken over as their head coach. I don't know if will be in the dugout tonight, this early, but they have been, the interim coach this week. Who knows what version of Fiorentina we're going to get? I mean, Mainz at home, I think this is probably their priority competition this season. They struggled domestically, but they have got a couple of wins in the Conference League. So I would lean towards Mainz if I had to pick someone. But Fiorentina and Conference League, they go like hand in hand, don't they? Like a glove.
Yeah.
So it's a competition they thrive in. So just looking at some other comments here. Effie's likes Larnaca as well. Larnaca to beat Aberdeen and AK to smack Shamrock. Team total over 2.5 goals. Steve Gregory, Forest win to 0 versus Leeds. Looks a big one for the weekend. You don't have to be sorry, Steve. As I say, I think Forest are a big price. I'm not sure whether it's a win to 0. I definitely think there's at least one headed goal in the game, by the way, at both ends of the field. I think both defenses look really poor from set pieces, and Sean Dyche has not been able to get on top of that yet. So I could see headed goals at both ends. Looking at player props for headers and stuff like that, defenders on shots. Sorry, I just can never get away from Leeds sometimes on these shows.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Go for it.
Back in the Premier League, it seems to be a daily thing.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So for me, the early Europa Conference League slate, the best bet would be Larnaca on the handicap. But we go to the later games now for Europa and Conference. Stay tuned for the second part of James's Daily Double. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of tasty fixtures coming up in the later games. Let's start with Rangers Roma, because I think it's a match there's a lot of people with differences of opinion on. Yeah. Rangers with the new manager, of course, now has been in place for 2 or 3 weeks. Didn't impress at Brann at all. Brann completely demolished them, but since then, obviously, there's been more time. Roma, I know you're quite a fan of them this season, James, in general. But minus 175 at Ibrox is either one of the worst prices ever or one of the best prices ever, and I can't work out which, because it really probably depends what sort of Rangers we get in this game. What do you think?
Well, I think it's one of the best ever. I mean, I don't think it's one of the best ever, but I do fancy them. I think Roma are a pick tonight. A lean, not an official pick, but worth backing if you're looking at this game for me. I think the Asian handicap would be the way to do it. Roma minus 0.75 on the Asian handicap, available around minus 124. If that price there on Roma to win is too short for you. The main reason I really like Roma here is that I think they've been a lot better away from home than at home so far this season. They've got a really good record away from home. They've played 6 matches on the road. That's if you include the Rome derby against Lazio. Some people may not want to, but it was an away game. They won 5 of those 6 games. The only one they didn't win was a 1-0 defeat to Milan. So to me, they've looked very comfortable away from home. They've actually looked better than they have at home. They won 2-1 at Nice. They've won 2-1 at Fiorentina. In Serie A, 1-0 at Pisa, 1-0 at Sassuolo. So they're not winning by huge margins. And I think the one area of the Roma team which is yet to come together under Gasperini this season is the attack. But they've been really solid defensively, and they've looked really happy playing away from home. And I think another factor which makes this a particularly good away game for them is the fact that, like Nice, Rangers are on 0 points. So I think they have to go for it tonight. I think the fact they're still getting used to a new manager and will want to impress him is another reason they will go for it. And for the fans at Ibrox, it's a really big European night, this, isn't it, against Roma? So all of those could be seen as positives for Rangers. But I actually think that Roma look to me well suited to dealing with all of that. If they can keep it tight at the back the way they have done in so many of their away games, they've yet to concede more than 1 away from home in a game. They've kept 3 clean sheets. If they can do that against a Rangers side who, to be honest, are probably not quite as strong as some of the sides that Roma have already faced this season away from home, then I think Roma should be okay here. They have been good at nicking a goal and then holding out and winning. So that's what I'm expecting to see from them. I do agree with some of the points about Rangers and the fact that the change of manager and the home support they're going to have could be assets. And this Roma team is a new team. It is still to some degree taking shape under their new manager this season. Lots of changes in the way they're playing and the shape of the side. So there's a risk attached to it. It's just a lean for me, not an official pick. But I do think, even though that minus money price on Roma might put people off, I think as an away team, they're pretty well suited to this. So just a lean for me, but I'm on Roma here on the Asian handicap.
Excuse me, James. Cricket's rather in the mood to interfere.
Join in.
But there's a few comments coming through about the Genk game, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But 77% of the money is on Roma for this game. 83% of the money on the over-unders on the over. So Rangers are backed. Roma are backed.
Yeah.
I think really that there are a lot more quality in that team than Rangers. So I would have to agree with you in that instance. Black Cats 25 started the conversation about Braga here. By the way, you've got to be really happy with how Sunderland are doing this season, Black Cats. But you can't believe the price on them. Genk on the Asians got to be the play. I mean, I'm looking at Braga. They're not a team I follow religiously. And their form doesn't seem that bad to me. But there's got to be something here. I mean, they just lost 2-1 to Porto, which is no real disgrace. Genk are not a bad team either, though. So, it's not a game that I personally got involved with. But, Peter Sanchez is on the same line there. Steve's got a team total Roma and Midtjylland parlay at plus 190. I'm guessing that's the over 1.5 team total. Roma win, but a low-scoring game, says Roy. Right. Let's stay with some of these later games. And we'll talk about Aston Villa in a minute. But there's a fixture I do want to talk about. Bologna against Brann. And I think Brann have to be opposed here. Bologna minus 1.5 goals is going to be a bet for me today. This is a team that's done really well in Europe recently. Brann, 2 home wins, but I think this is a tough spot for them away to Serie A opponents. And just the scheduling for Brann's been horrible of late. They've not had a break for about 3 weeks. Midweek weekends. And this has affected Bodo Glimt as well. I think it's one of the main reasons they lost to Monaco. Brann are a very similar sort of team to Bodo Glimt. They high energy. That's their style of play. That's what makes them so good. And I'm not sure what's left in the tank. And this is just a tough place for them to have to visit. You talk about teams sacking games off. They can almost afford a defeat, if you know what I mean. They've had 2 wins at home. It's not the end of the earth if you lose to Bologna away from home. So I think Bologna, not a team I've usually backed very often, I must say, James.
Same.
But the results have been decent of late, and they've had a few wins by more than 1 goal this season. I think they probably win 2-0, actually. Thinking 2-0, 3-0 to Bologna, I think would be... I don't like ever taking minus 1.5. It's probably my least favourite handicap in soccer. It's one of your favourite, isn't it? But I hate teams that win by 1 goal when you're on this line.
It's frustrating. Yeah,
but I know you do like those lines. So I can't go minus 1.25. It's just too short. Minus 157. So I've got to do the full 1.5 bet there. Peter Sanchez, Bologna all day. SW says Bologna and under 4.5. Those are the sort of bets that I'm liking to hear. There is a betting break. 95% of the money's on Bologna for the game, and there's 78% of the money's on the over for this game. I think it'll be touch and go if it is as I predicted, with the 2-0 sort of 3-0 possibilities. That's the other. What's the Villa? That's the one. Yeah, Aston Villa. We haven't got a bet on the game, James, but it is noticeable how short Aston Villa are today. Minus 560, to beat Maccabi Tel Aviv. Now, shock defeat, obviously, at Go Ahead Eagles last time out.
Yes.
I don't really know how they contrived to lose that game. They were well in control at 1-0 and just missed chances. And I'm just wondering now, I mean, when you're facing a team like Maccabi Tel Aviv, perhaps they've got more of a focus on the weekend in the Premier League against Bournemouth. But at the same time, you know, it's a good chance to get your goal difference going, get a nice win on the board and cement your spot in qualification places. So, I mean, Aston Villa handicap, you're really looking at about -2 to get decent juice out of it. Would that be for you, do you think, here, Aston Villa, or not?
Not quite. I don't have a leaner pick on the game, but it would not surprise me if they equaled or beat that handicap, because they definitely have the potential to win this sort of game by a big margin. It's worth reminding ourselves they're not just favourites to win this competition altogether this season. They're clear favourites to do so. They're plus 450. And then you have to go back to plus 900 for the joint second favourites, which is Roma and Porto at the moment. And then Nottingham Forest are plus 1,000. So Villa clear favourites to win the competition. Again, we've mentioned it with Forest. They can rotate if they want tonight, and they can still put out a really strong starting 11 against this type of opposition. They've got a couple of players missing as well, Tielemans and Tyrone Mings and 1 or 2 others, but they've got great squad depth. So yeah, I can see them winning it. You've just mentioned, Steve, the minus 1.5 Asian handicap line. If a line like that was available on this game at, you know, something like minus 120, then I would be interested, because I think Villa are comfortably good enough to win by a couple of goals. And actually, that defeat to Go Ahead Eagles, you know, it's all the more reason to try and get the win tonight, because they will feel they've got points to make up. You know, they've got 6 points on the board, but they'll feel that they've let themselves down, really, didn't they, with that defeat? It wasn't on the cards at all. So I think motivation won't be a problem at all here. And let's wait and see what the lineup exactly is. Let's see if they rotate and change things around. But I think the price is justified. It's got shorter as well, we should say. They were minus 480, I think 48 hours ago, into minus 560 now. So they're clearly fancied. And as I say, I haven't got involved because I think the price is probably maybe gone a little bit too short for me now on that handicap. But they should win it, and it would be no surprise if they win it quite comfortably.
Yeah, I think actually, the more I think about this game, I will look at the lineups I will wait for the lineups for this one, but -2 Villa. I think that's a push at worst.
Yeah.
Even if they rotate a bit, Maccabi Tel Aviv, I don't rate them at all personally.
Yeah.
Black Cats. Yeah, remember that comment yesterday? I chickened out of the -1.5 with Newcastle and took -1.25. It's just because I'm the sort of bettor who I hate all or nothing bets. Black Cats. I would always rather have the push as a possibility, or half losses and half wins. So I'm the sort of bettor who will go down on an Asian line or goal line, or actually up on a line as well. On a goal line, I'd sometimes rather take 2.75 than 2.5. I'm just that sort of bettor. I know there's a lot out there though who just prefer either you win or you lose straight.
Yeah.
I don't like that. It just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's different betting. But yeah, on this instance, it is all or nothing for me on Bologna.
Yeah.
So let's hope they can cover it. Lyon, there was some talk about them. Plenty of chat earlier, and we're going to ask your opinion here. Real Betis -157 to beat Lyon here. Now, I'm not denying they should be the favourites.
Yeah.
But is that a little bit extreme here? I mean, Lyon don't have a bad pedigree in Europe, in Europa League in the last few years.
No, maybe a little bit. And it's shortened. You know, they were -143 2 days ago, where Betis, so they've shortened to -157, and they're facing a Lyon side who've won 3 out of 3 so far. So if you look at it in that sense, probably Lyon are a bit big there at +390. They've gone out to that from +360. But I think it might be to do with team news. And that's what I wanted to talk about really on this game, because Lyon are expected to rotate here. Now, we don't know that for sure yet. We don't have the starting lineups, but Corentin Tolisso has been left out. He's been rested. He's been arguably their best player this season. Really impressive in most of their games, actually. He's not made the France squad again today. There was talk of him maybe being recalled after being out for a long time. That's not happened. France have named their squad today, but he's been playing really well and he won't be involved. And Malik Fofana, who's arguably their most dangerous attacker, he's been out for a couple of weeks now through injury and will be out for another 2 months. So they are under strength tonight, are Lyon, and there is talk that manager Paulo Fonseca will rotate in maybe 3, 4 and maybe even 5 positions, which is partly to keep the squad fresh anyway, as you would expect. It's also more specifically, I think, it's just my opinion this, but it's because they face PSG on the weekend in League One, which is a massive game for Lyon. It's a home game, and it comes at a time when, if you get your team right, PSG are potentially beatable because they've got lots of injuries to contend with. So I'm not saying Lyon will write this game off. I don't think they'll do that, but I think they will look at it and think, we've got 9 points on the board already. We're in a pretty good position. And we've got PSG in the league at the weekend. Do we rotate here? It probably is the right time to do that. So I think a lot of that short price on Betis will be to do with that. It will be to do with the team news. What that then means for us, of course, is it might throw up opportunities to back players in the props markets who wouldn't ordinarily start. I've looked through the shot on target prices and the goal scorer prices. Actually, I think the best value lies on a couple of players who might start anyway. So this is looking at the over 0.5 shot on target market. Karabech, Adam Karabech is a player people might not know, but he's been a very useful attacking player for Lyon so far this season. He can play anywhere really across the front. He can play wide on the right or number 10 or even as a false 9. He's available at +200 to manage over 0.5 shots on target. And then one of my favourites, going back 12 months now, Tanner Tessman, the United States international midfielder. He's available at +270 to have over 0.5 shots on target. So I think those prices are pretty big. They're both players who might rotate out of the team if Lyon do rotate, in which case, the bets would be void and you get your stakes back. But generally speaking, going back to the match market, I do think this is a game that it might be beyond Lyon to win it if they rotate as we think they will, because it does appear that this week, kind of as a one-off, they may be a little bit more focused on that league game against Paris Saint-Germain at the weekend.
Yeah, Tessman, don't even talk to me about him. I actually backed him for a shot on target at the weekend in their match. And, of course, Lyon got reduced to 10 men, weren't they? Very early on.
Changed everything. Yeah, it did.
And Tessman had to make way for Ainsley Maitland-Niles after 15 minutes. I was really cursing my luck.
Yeah,
which means he's going to get that shot on target tonight, now, isn't he?
Yeah, quite probably.
The Forest starting 11 is out because we're going to talk about the Daily Double next. It annoys me when the socials on the Forest X, they list the team in order of number.
It's ridiculous. Why do they do that? Why do they do that?
I just want to see the formation quickly.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's rubbish. Anyway, they've got the backup keeper in goal, John. I think he's Brazilian. I don't know if they've been using him in the Europa League or not. They may have been. He's not a bad keeper from what I know. But we've got the likes of Kalimwendo in the side. Gibbs White plays. McAtee. Savona is starting as well. I don't know what formation off the top of my head. I hate that I hate teams that list them.
Yeah, even when they do it for the squad the night before the game, I'm looking at you here, Lille. Lille do it in, I think, shirt number order. So you've no idea how many defenders, midfielders, or attackers they picked. I would ban that if I was in charge of socials.
Kingston says, I'm a Barca fan, but I wagered on Braga at plus 450 last night. My instinct told me they may screw up, and that was a weak call on the winning goal for Bruges. There was a few contentious refereeing decisions last night, that's for sure. Marseille, as I said at the top of the show, I think they got done in. For what it's worth, I think that was probably by the letter of the law a foul, but the goalkeeper was lucky for Barcelona, is the best way I would say it. Okay, let's finish off with this Daily Double as such. And we're going to be talking about BK Hacken against Strasbourg, James. This is the subject of the second part of your Daily Double. Strasbourg are the favourites for this game. They're minus money favourites for the game slightly. I'll give my opinion on Hacken soon, but let us know your thoughts on what's the bet for the game.
Yeah, the bet for the game would be, well, if I was doing it as a single, I would be back in Strasbourg minus 0.25 here on the Asian handicap. So I am siding with Strasbourg. That would be available at minus 143. So by doing that, rather than backing them on the money line, you'd lose only half your stakes in the event of Strasbourg failing to win the game, rather than losing all of your stakes. For the purposes of the Daily Double, we've already said Nottingham Forest on the money line is the first half. Strasbourg tie no bet would be my second half for the Daily Double, which is available at minus 215. So Nottingham Forest money line, Strasbourg tie no bet. So you would only lose if they lost on the night. That pays out at plus money, plus 121, which I think is pretty good. And I think Strasbourg, they should be able to keep their side of the bargain up here, because I think they're going to take this fairly seriously. They're in a decent position so far in the competition. They've done fairly well. It's a very winnable game for them. And I do feel they will have a point to prove, because they suffered their only heavy defeat of the season so far last weekend. They lost 4-1 at Rennes. Desperately disappointing night for them. They actually started pretty well and then kind of fell apart, really. They looked like a slightly tired team towards the end of the match. Didn't go right for them. A couple of players missing. They've not had a long time to turn it around, but we've said before about Strasbourg, they are a young squad and they have got a deep squad, so they can rotate and stay fairly strong. I think the manager, Rossignol, might name a fairly strong team anyway tonight, because I do think he'll want to avoid a second consecutive defeat after what happened last weekend. So they should do okay here. Reminds me a little bit of the away game they had in Bratislava when they got the win in that one earlier in the competition. One piece of team news we've got on Strasbourg is that Emmanuel Emega, who I still think is their number one striker, really. Panicelli is the other one. He's done brilliantly in front of goal, but Emega has missed most of the season through injury. He should be back and involved in some way tonight, either from the start or off the bench. That does give them an extra big option up front, which can only help. So I would say find a way to be with Strasbourg. Obviously, we're doing the Daily Double. We're backing them. Tie no bet in the double with Forest on the money line. I think they should get the win here.
Producer Troy has come up with an interesting stat there. Draws in 4 straight and 5 of the last 6 for Hacken. And that is why, the tie-no bet is included in the actual Daily Double here. It does offer a little bit of security. Hacken were a lot better than I expected against Rayo Vallecano a few weeks ago. They got the 2-2 draw, perhaps unlucky not to win the game, but Rayo rotated very, very heavily in that game. And I don't think they were ready for it at all. Yeah. So for me, Strasbourg are a better team than Rayo, where the 11 that takes the field will be the better side. in this one. I like the corners in this game, actually, James. I think corners are worth looking at here. Over 9.5 corners at -103. Beko Hacken do tend to play in a very in a style which promotes corners. And if they are chasing the game, we're going to get that from them. Strasbourg and corners are kind of just neutral for me. You never know really what you're going to get. But I do like the corners for this game. It could be a frantic one. Actually, that double is out +129 because Forest have dropped out to -180 on the money line, probably because Anderson's not starting, I'm guessing. So that would be the reasoning there. Peter Sanchez, no crystal for any of you. Well, James normally has a crystal ball.
Unless it's on the Genoa manager, Steve, in which case I hand it straight over to you and you deal with that, aren't you?
Graz makes an interesting comment. If you had a dog, James, it would be an Alsatian, I think, this year, wouldn't it? You would bet Strasbourg more than this season.
It's true, yeah. I mean, I think they're a fascinating team. Obviously, there's so much focus on the multi-club situation and people can have their views on that, but what it does mean is they are doing something different to every other club in League One at the moment in terms of the size of their squad, where they're getting the players from, and that opens up options with them that you just don't get with any other club in League One. So they are a really interesting proposition, I think.
There's a couple more bets I just want to give out before the end of the show, and they come on this card. Rapid Vienna is the first one, simply on the money line, to beat Universitatea Craiova. I think it's a match that Rapid need a result in, to be honest. They've struggled so far in the Conference League this season. Last season, of course, they sensationally had a really deep run, didn't they? Did extremely well. So they've got good memories of that, and I think they can fall back upon it here against opponents who really, for me, well, it's one of those where I don't think Craiova are particularly good. At all. Romanian outfit, and in their own league, they've actually got a shot of winning their own league this season because FCSB are as low as 8th and 13 points off the title race. Craiova are only 3 points off the top team called Botoșani in Romania. I have genuinely never heard of Botoșani in my life. Rapid Bucharest are second in that league, but I think Rapid Vienna can get the win there. And one other bet, you can probably guess it, James. It's Rayo Vallecano against Lech Poznan. Yeah. What's the bet, James? You know the bet. Everyone knows the bet. It's corners.
Yes, corners. It is corners.
And the line is 10.5 for Rayo here. And this screams like the sort of game where they probably take a little bit of time to break Lech down. They'll rotate a lot. And we know Rayo games just tend to have a lot of corners. It's just the way they operate. I saw an interesting bit on the social media from Lech Poznan today, actually. They did a tour of the visiting dressing room at the Vallecas Stadium in Rayo. It's a real old school stadium,
Oh, wow.
It's one of Rory Barlow's favourites, actually, James.
Yeah.
It's that one. I'll let you think about your best bets, and we'll come back to the Daily Double as well. But before we go, please do sign up to the Betting Weekly newsletter. We've got the Insider, which has been signed off today. It'll be released into your inbox tomorrow. Loads of great picks and insights on that as per usual. I've got to say that for those looking forward to the Premier League show today, it would normally be released in 10 minutes' time. Unfortunately, that will not be the case today. There was an issue with the internet in Athens for Nigel. So it was not possible to do the Premier League show today. But as a bonus, me, James, and Dan managed to record extra time.
We did.
So we get the early gig this week. Hopefully that will be released sooner rather than later. I'm not sure exactly what time because we have to get through a lot of the scheduling today. And shout out to, again, as I said yesterday, producer Troy and John Izzard as well for the graphics.
Yeah.
And the production of all. It's a real, on these busy weeks when we've got Champions League, Europa League, the whole team comes together, James.
Brilliant effort from everybody behind the scenes who, the viewers don't see working hard and keeping everything on track for us. Been fantastic. And the Premier League show will be out, we should say. I mean, it's not that it won't be happening. It's just been delayed, but it will be there tomorrow with all the usual brilliant analysis of the games. It's just we've sort of swapped the European and the Premier League show for 1 week in terms of when they get released.
Yeah, and of course, coming up later, we've got Betting Weekly US edition. And those guys have been hitting the daily doubles brilliantly.
Yeah.
Huge shout out to them, as Steve from Lynn says. And, we've got to get back on track with these daily doubles. So this is a reminder of it now. We really could do with this cash in today. Forest Moneyline and Strasbourg, Tino bet plus 121. It's actually plus 129 now. But, aside from that, reminders of your best bets today, James.
Yeah, if I was doing a single, it would be on Nottingham Forest minus 0.75 on the Asian handicap at whatever price you find for that. As I say, it's shortened from minus 115 to minus 124. Might be a little bit shorter, but if you were looking for a single, I would be on Forest. And then, of course, we've got the daily double with the second best pick for me, which is on Strasbourg.
There's a lot of bets I like. Best bet probably it's got to be against Malmo again. Panathinaikos draw no bet, but I do like Midtjylland a lot. I do like those Rayo Vallecano corners quite a lot as well. But it's a sort of night where I've got a good feeling we can cash quite a few winners.
Yeah.
Thanks so much to everyone who's joined live or on demand this week. There's been so many of you coming in with the comments and the chat, and we really appreciate you. Keep hitting that like button. Keep hitting the subscribe button as well. Turin and Rodas Tourist Board. Do I take something about shots when I ladder Rayo corners? I've only ever seen them score from one corner. It's incredible. The amount of corners they get, I've only seen them score from one. I think it was against Levante this season. So, normally we record extra time on Friday morning, DJ.
Yeah.
It's been different this year, but we've done it this afternoon. So it's a bit of a one-off this week. Maybe it might work out in our favour. I don't know. And Philly Guy 2377, Mike Carver was a great hire. I totally agree. He's been brilliant out there on Betting Weekly Live. But thanks so much to everyone. Take care, you all. Remember to gamble responsibly. And James, it was a pleasure as always.
As always, Steve. Great to be here.
Watch out for extra time, which will hopefully drop some point today. Tomorrow, Dan Roebuck's on the show live with Jack Wright. So I'll see you next week. Take care, you all. And until then, it's goodbye.